Ah,
I always
man,
wonder what
this
Ranjit's reading. And look how intense he looks.
he's trying to
I'm
be
He's
intelligent.
always,
Dude,
he's always like,
dude, I'm fucking so smart, man. Anyways, um,
that's the joke of the day. That has to be, right?
I've been like, is not everybody an expert of Punjab's gang violence now? Everybody, like, I learned so many gang names over the last few days.
Really? I
I
feel
didn't know
like
Yeah.
who these people were.
I feel like it's always about the changes. Like when COVID hit, everyone became a vaccine expert. Is it epidemiologist?
Epidemiologist.
Epidemiologist.
Epidemiologist. I
Epidemiologist.
just know if you say it the wrong way, it comes out foot doctor, right? A
No, podiatrist is a
It's
podiatrist, a
foot
foot
podiatrist,
doctor.
bro.
doctor.
It's not even
So
close.
okay, I don't know. I'm always like, if I say this
And
wrong,
on
then they
another
talk.
episode of Helping Shinda Speak English, episode
Yeah.
3.
Just talking? Well, what's the show about?
It's about nothing. It's about nothing.
Just want these guys to know you got another thing coming, bitch. I'm still around.
So an epidemiologist. Everyone was an expert epidemiologist. I'm gonna keep saying it now, epidemiologist.
Or
We go-
pathologist. Or pathologist.
Oh,
They
that's a
think
lot
the new
easier.
virologist. That's another one.
Virologist. I had
Easy one, there
guys.
you go.
I had guys saying I took a virology course in my undergrad. I know more than this. And then I'm like, and then he's like, yeah. And then Nick came up. He's like, yeah, I went to med school. I'm like, yeah, you're a doctor. He's like, nah, I didn't pass my boards. So I'm like, you're a shitty doctor. You're like, like what the fuck? And he's like,
Your
nah, man.
WebMD. Your
Yeah,
WebMD.
you're WebMD at this point. But then he'd be like, nah, man, trust me, these doctors don't know shit. I'm like, you're telling me that doctors that graduated practice no less than you who didn't graduate can't practice, and he's sitting here arguing with me about this stuff. And they're like, yo, it's all the same information. I know my shit. I'm like, all right. But yeah, we got
But he
this.
did the research.
He's like, yo, I got journals and stuff. I'm like, I don't. He's sending them. I'm like, listen, son, I'm not a virologist. I'm not an epidemiologist. I'm not any of this shit. I tend to just sway to what the smart people say, and if more smart people agree on one thing, I'll take their side on that. But yeah, so then when Ukraine happened, Ranjit all of a sudden became a military expert.
Military. I still listen to me fucking Ukraine shit, man. It's crazy.
Are you still reading that? You haven't moved on?
I still watch GoPros from soldiers they're fighting, man.
So yeah, it's just weird. Like, and now it's the way we learn stuff has changed so much, and the way we like uh reply to stuff. Like, yeah, everyone's just an expert on everything they just read. So
I think
don't
it's
know.
I think it's the ease of getting that knowledge at the fingertips, right?
But it's
Yeah.
not really
That you
knowledge
can
you're
read
getting.
3 lines. And it's exactly what most of these people did in university. Paraphrase a few things here and there, and now they're experts, right? So
So you Wikipedia your topic, then you look at its sources,
that's
And then you
it.
quote the
you follow
sources.
those sources, and then you see where those sources got their information. There you go. You have a well-researched paper.
There you go.
Yeah, I remember there was something with like the Uruguay.
Ranjit's Law School 101.
I mean, Randy probably had to do the most essays. This guy did the criminal and like the arts background. Like my shit was simple. It was like 1 + 1 = 2, and you just had to make sure you memorized like all the different rules that went with that. And there was always like a factual answer. There wasn't, but
It's not opinionated.
it's not really opinionated. It's like, make this work. Here's what it needs to do. It's like, okay, but
You had to learn about circuit boards in chemistry. Oh, that's fucking difficult.
I mean, I was
Circuit
supposed
boards
to.
in chemistry?
Yeah, I mean, you did have to do electronics and chemistry. I hated chemistry.
Yes.
I failed chemistry
I
so
don't
many
know.
times. Yeah.
I never studied a circuit board in chemistry. I'm just saying.
Oh
That's
no,
what you
no.
said.
I mean, there were 2 separate courses. But
Separate courses, but like those
Oh.
type of subjects, yeah.
oh man, you guys are giving me PTSD thinking about school. Fuck this.
Yeah, I was
But
like, fucking, you have to know about like ampage and capacitors and
you're just trying to.
I love that stuff.
Yeah,
Ohms-
see?
Ohm's
Yeah.
law, resistance.
yes,
All of
I wasn't very good at it, but I liked it. I did like it.
I understood it enough to get by, but I didn't pursue. But yeah, no. Back to the real topic. Yeah, everyone's an expert on everything these days, right? I mean, look, elections came around. We're friggin' political analysts.
Yeah, we think we're experts.
You know what's fucked up though? This thing crossed my mind today. So everyone's a professional. Like there's legit professionals. There's doctors. There's thing. Someone had this crazy rant, all pissed off that Douglas won, saying what's 60% of you stayed at home, you apathetic apox assholes, whatever, going on a whole rant. Like he was big mad, and he's like a political analyst, and in his bio he put political scientist. And then it sounds cool, political scientist. This guy knows his shit. And then I'm thinking, like, every fucking fuckboy lawyer did a political science undergrad. So every single one of them is technically in that position. I'm like, this is the least impressive, like, title you can give yourself of political scientist. Because that's the most overdone degree, like, undergrad degree, if you don't know what, if you want to do something post-grad, right?
Poli-sci, sociology, psychology, right?
Yeah. I think psychology
And then
more
and
is,
social work.
yeah. But I was just so, like, and then this guy blocked me
Ryan
'cause
just
I-
threw all arts degrees under the bus right there.
Yo, man, this guy, he's allowed to, though. He's from that background.
I did. That was my background. Dude, I
Yeah.
minored in religion. I did it all.
I remember my brother, I didn't know what my brother did. I'm like, bro, what did you graduate from? And he's like, yeah, I did a minor in philosophy and something else. I'm like, what? The fuck did you do a minor in philosophy for?
Philosophy. That was hard. Philosophy is fucking hard.
I was like, no, what? And then he went through the whole Nietzsche, and I'm like, bro, you're
Yeah,
fucking blowing my mind.
that's sociology.
But yeah, no, so like, I don't know, this guy ended up blocking me because I tweeted a gif at him, so I'm kind of still kind of like, you're a friggin' pigeon. But yeah,
You
no,
gotta
like,
share some
everyone's
names.
just, huh? I can't even say,
Yeah.
like, I don't know his name, man. He's not even worth mentioning, I guess. But yeah, everyone's an expert on everything. And I guess politics, is it easy to be an expert on politics?
Why not? I mean, everybody has a hot take that they like. CBC and all these other reporters online, they just give hot takes anyways. It's not like there's an in-depth analysis, right? It's the same shit. They regurgitate what they see on Twitter themselves. Now, yeah, exactly what Robbie said. Information's available at your fingertips. Same thing with the experts.
But I think
Yeah,
there's so much.
they're more relaying that same information.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the term is political pundits or whatever they want to call them selves. But I do take like someone who's had an in the past, if they've been part of a party or been an MP, or their perspective is always interesting because they've seen the ins and the outs. But yeah, just your random political reporter, you know as much as everybody else, right? Yeah, you have maybe a little bit more connections and you can get a little bit more face-to-face information, but politics is popular vote.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way I look at it, right?
I mean, they're all going to say the same. The first past the post, blah, blah, blah. It's bullshit. Voter turnout, 4 theories on why that happened. What happens during recession, recessionary period? People go towards conservatives, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's the same fucking analysis over and over again.
Well, let's just be simple. Why do you guys think no one turned up?
There's no reason to. I 100%. Look, I've been thinking about this a lot. Why would you turn up to something if you don't care? If you're like, yo, the status quo is fine. Or you see the polls. If you see the PC party up 40%, you're like, yo, that's my party. If that's your party, you're like, yeah, I don't need to vote. They're going to win by 40%. If they're not your party, you're like, well, my party's going to lose anyways. What's the point of me going? I feel like polls influence your energy to go. And then another part of it is like status quo. You're like, yeah, it's fine how it is. It's like, whatever. I think that's another part of it.
For me, it was like, let's say it's the best NBA team playing in the finals, like Golden State or something like that. You got a team
Wow, you're just cutting out left.
You got cut out really bad.
Yeah.
So we're gonna start a GoFundMe for Robbie. He spends all his money on vacations and not enough on his internet.
Oh, that's echoing. Just disconnect and reconnect at this point, bro.
Ball tuning in what?
I swear to God, this is like bad auto tune at this point.
This is so funny. I love this. And this guy's gonna get shut off. And his camera's gonna go off like 2-3 times in this episode.
His camera's already frozen. I almost feel like just kicking him at this
point. Can we please do a screen grab of this?
This is his fixed voice.
There we go.
Oh shit.
Good stuff.
Yeah, great take, Robbie. I agree with everything you just said.
Yes, you sound really smart when you're not talking.
I could hear you guys the whole time. I thought it was Ranji's internet.
No, man. Go ahead. Go repeat whatever you were saying.
I was just saying it's just like a great NBA team in the finals playing a mediocre team. You kind of assume that the odds are in favor of obviously the better team, so you don't care to really watch because don't really have an interest in who's playing, and that's kind of the approach that most people took. That they kind of knew Ford was going to win, and they didn't really care. And a lot of people don't have that kind of personal, righteous, civic duty kind of, oh, it's your civic duty to go out and vote. Most people don't believe in that, right? That's just not the way it is. They don't care, and that's the reality, right?
Yeah. I don't know. For me, it's kind of like, look, whenever it was like, yo, only 30%, 40. So one of the big narratives right now is Ford won by 40% with 40% of the voter turnout. So they're like 40% of 40%. And I'm like, why does everyone assume that if the other 60% came out and voted, that they would have all voted for like the progressive parties? It would have evenly split across, and you get the same result almost down the middle, in my opinion. It's just weird because now what I saw that was really not infuriating, but annoying, was people kind of like, oh my God, the world is coming to an end. I can't believe that we're going to get another 4 years of 4. And I'm kind of thinking like, honest to God, tell me what went wrong in the last 4 years that really like.
Well, you know what? It was the very start of Ford's previous terms. He had some pretty divisive policies when it came to schools, and I think hospitals as well, about cuts and shit like that. And I think that's what everybody kind of figured. Like now that COVID is done and he can go back to being what he wants to be, that he'll just go back to that type of governing. But I think he's found his mojo, man. Like
Ford's a liberal. Can we be honest?
He's a
hardcore liberal. Like he's the centrist.
He governs like a liberal. Yeah, he's 100%. It's like
That's
I would echo. Like there's no divisive, like as far as I see, this one thing I just don't agree with. It's like there hasn't been a lot of community beef under this conservative government. There's no like racial lines drawn, right versus left like that. Like there has been in other places. This is not Trump. As much as like he was projected to be like a Trump, like he really isn't. He's just really fucking down the middle.
Dougler.
He's down the middle,
the
man.
Dougler.
And you know what's great about Ford is he'll do something, and if all of a sudden he's like, oh, this people don't like this, he'll quickly switch up. He has no problem switching up.
He's learning on the job, man. He's just learning on the job.
Look, man, aren't we all? At the end of the day,
Yeah.
It's just the hot takes that I see about like I can't believe that we lost the war. I'm like, what war are you guys fighting that you think we're in this world that everyone's against?
I think with Doug Ford in particular, we'll have to see which Doug Ford we actually end up with. And he's shown a variety of characters and type of politician he might be. Now that he has full control, I think in the first, maybe by year 2, you'll really get his policies and see where we're going. And if people want to complain, then go for it. Right?
Yeah.
But
the other
we don't
funny
know
one is, I was just thinking about, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
that's good.
other funny criticism is these green space fucking activists all of a sudden. Motherfuckers are fucking be littering all over the place, but now they care about green spaces. And no one's fucking 413.
So you know what's I agree with you. I do find it funny that downtown, it's like the downtown NDP hardcore progressive bubble. That's like he's taking away the green belt. I'm like, you motherfuckers live 3 hours away from this thing. You barely
in
come
Toronto.
out to Toronto. You barely come out to this place. I'm like, half of you couldn't even find it on a map. The green belt is pretty friggin' wide. He's not taking away the green belt. He's not destroying the green belt. He's taking a tiny little sliver and saying we're going to put a highway connecting this pocket of houses with this pocket of houses and letting them, talk to each other.
All of Toronto was a green belt at one point.
Yeah,
What are we talking about here? Like, just because it got protected doesn't mean like it's special in any way. It's all nature. We're expanding too quickly.
Can you imagine any of these people being against the 401 back in the 60s or 50s?
They probably were. But they probably were.
I don't know.
There's some guy doing it on a farm, but imagine now. These
So
same people are like, no,
I was
401 touch Aida, 401 touch
I was
Aida.
driving on the 400 and there's they have the same signs of the future site of the
I
430.
love that.
And someone's taken red spray paint and just painted it out. I'm like, really? Like that's how far this is getting? Like,
Look, man, people are like, well, it's not going to do anything. I'm like, trust me, man. When it's not going to do anything, it's going to ease up some trucks. It's going to make their life easier. it's gonna make a lot of people who have
No,
to
it's going to
communicate.
expand the community. More
Yeah,
communities will move out. More highways, man.
it
I'm
makes
down
it.
for it.
I don't know. I remember after our last conversation about this last week, I was just kind of thinking, I'm like, it literally isn't touching the good parts of the greenbelt. Like, it's not even near the forks. It's not even near mono. What is
No.
like? What
It's
are
the people that live there. It's the people that live there. They're they're going to be obviously the staunchest opponents of this kind of build-up. And
No,
remember,
that's
it is
not
going to change. It's going to change their communities as well.
maybe.
Change.
Yeah.
You know, when they go, oh, it's changed.
I'm just
You
thinking
know
the
what that
downtown
means.
people aren't gonna notice it. They're not seeing it. That's why they're pissed. So, like, give us a better subway. I'm like, bro, you guys got
Brownies are
enough
coming. The
subways.
brownies are coming.
Yeah, I don't know, man. The 413 seems like
When they
a
mean
no-brainer
pollution, they're
to me.
talking about us, right?
Yeah.
You know what?
Because they know the truckers are going to move out there. They don't need to be. That's what they did with the Cambridge, Woodstock,
Yeah.
Paris, Ontario, right? Brantford. The Daisies are out there. Now we have a
It's
Highway
fu- I-
413. They're
I
going to
found
move out
it-
there too.
I found it funny that all of Brampton voted for essentially the 413. That was a big point.
Yeah.
To eventually all move out of Brampton to move to another community on the 413.
But
So
isn't that
all
what
these
we need?
Bramptonians are like, yeah, we need a new place to live. We need new houses.
But
right?
that's what they want. We need more houses so that other people can come and afford these houses. I think it's a win-win
Oh
for
no,
everyone.
it's not for other people. Shit, no,
No,
it's
no.
for us. I
No.
gotta buy my second house, bro.
So, like, I'm keeping this house. I ain't selling. You know, another weird take on conservatism in general is when brown people support conservatives, or like any minorities group supports a conservative. Like, you guys are supporting the racist party that doesn't like you. And I'm thinking, like, the NDP's kind of racist, and they probably don't like y'all. The liberals were racist for the longest time. Well, it took them a while before they were like,
Bro,
look,
the
we got
Democrats were the most racist party around, right?
So-
and now they're the, so
people
Oh,
love these make
not to
believe
get too
polarized
personal,
lines. Yeah.
But I spent dinner with my wife tonight. We saw signs coming down for the Canada area, Brummeat Cigaria, who won.
congratulations.
Congrats to him. Yeah, honestly, and I want to give a shout out while we're talking about him to his team. I honestly think he drove the vote for the entire PC, all the PC candidates in Brampton, right? So good for him. But yeah, so we saw some friends taking down Brummeat Cigaria signs. Had a chat with them on the way to dinner, and my wife's a nurse, for those who don't know. So we had
Not a
that
big
conversation about why cops deserve a raise and she doesn't.
I mean, I feel like nurses, but
Yeesh,
Yeah.
it was a tough conversation.
man,
So what do they do that we
Does
don't?
anyone deserve a raise right now?
I don't think anyone deserves. I think everyone needs a pay freeze across the.
Exactly. We don't got no money.
It's like, we got no money.
Hey man, optometrists waited since 1989 to get any kind of raise. Everybody needs to stop complaining.
Dumbasses.
You're being paid so much better than everybody else.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey. So are you.
In 1989, you were getting
So
you were getting
are all the
2017
politicians.
rates. Okay,
So are all the politicians.
Yeah.
The politicians keep giving themselves raises.
it just caught up. It just caught up. Okay,
Yeah.
you leveled out.
But yeah, no, the hate for, like, people get so stuck in their ideology. Sometimes it's weird, and that's another just weird take. Like, everyone gets, and I know everyone was kind of like, well, Ford didn't even release a policy. I'm like, you dumbasses, he released a budget literally a month before that hasn't really gone into effect. I'm pretty sure his policy was the budget he just presented.
Yeah, someone's like, I mean, we all posted. Actually, I don't know if Robbie did.
What?
Anyways, the same, vote PC, the day of election.
I actually, for the first time, I'll disclose my vote. I have no issues. Walked over to the local church where they were taking our ballots, and I voted PC for the first time in my life. Yeah, well, I mean, Prob obviously has a lot to do with that, but he's not in my writing. Voted for my guy McGregor.
Yeah. Hold on, you're
Okay,
McGregor too?
Vaigru.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
sick.
a
That's
job
a-
I grew. That was it. I'm like, yo, this guy got me.
Yeah, got
He
me,
had
man.
me at jaw. But the no, it's funny, man.
Let me
So I
tell you
felt-
a funny story about Greg McGregor and how his Punjabi got so good.
Get out of here.
Repeat story. No, so whatever. I placed. I got my ballot, and they told me to go over that little box to fill it out. I went to the third guy to give it, and he's like, "No, there's an error." I was like, "Man, I'm in a church as a sign from God. I voted for Conservative for the first time in my life." I looked around, what's going on? Like, you got to go back and you got to get this sign. And I looked at my wife; she just started laughing at me.
Hold on.
So I got a sign, and I put it through. I was
Hold
like,
on.
"Man, that's it."
Hold on. For those who don't know, the process of voting here, they give you a big piece of paper, like it's an 8.5 by 11, and you just literally have to take a black marker,
Oh
a
no,
Sharpie,
it wasn't.
and put
It
an X.
wasn't me. It wasn't me. It was the initial. I guess the intake individual who verifies your ID did not initial the top of the form.
Oh, I gotcha.
So I had to repeat the whole process, but it's fine, no
Man,
big
that
deal.
ruined
But
my-
it was like,
I really
man,
thought you
that-
just messed up on
I'm
the
like, yo,
X.
that's a sign. I was like, yo, that's a sign, man. Change your vote. But then I looked at the other candidates. I was like, nah, man, I can't. I'd rather just walk out.
I literally thought that you like did something with the wrong X or something. You messed up on how to mark a ballot.
Yeah, what was weird is the guy telling me to go which direction in the church would not speak to me in English. He kept talking to me in Punjabi. I'm like, hey, how are you? To see a Tijoji. I was like, looked at him. I'm like, all right, whatever. I didn't even correct him. I'm like, cool.
It's kind of weird that you wanted to correct him, man. I would have just stayed Punjabi with him at that point.
No, I take both sides. I think it's cool, but at the same time, I'm like,
Look at this guy.
you know,
He's like, hey,
speak English.
whatever.
Yeah.
Man, second someone puts Punjabi on, I have to like go Punjabi with them. Like, I can hold this down. I know how to conversate. I'm not gonna let you think I'm a friggin' whitewashed.
I mean, if you walked into a government building and the person spoke perfect English and then just started talking to you Punjabi as if you didn't understand English, you wouldn't be offended at all?
Nope. I'm like, yo, this guy thinks my Punjabi is that good. Let's do this.
What if it's broken Punjabi?
If there's, I don't know. I'd
There's
still
this
keep it-
broken Punjabi. They're talking to you like you don't understand. I'm like, I'd be
Man,
like, yeah.
Nah, man.
Yeah, then maybe I get a little offended.
Come on, I'd be offended. I'm like, I can
If they
speak
wanna
English.
go with-
Or it'd be a compliment that they think I'm so desi, and my Punjabi so tate
That's where I'm at. See,
Yeah.
that's where my head would be.
that they
I
had
think
to.
that's a
No, but you
compliment.
hadn't. No, but you haven't spoken a word yet. Remember, I didn't speak. I hadn't said anything.
But you look it, and having that look, it means something. It's like, yes.
What's that
I
supposed
have
to
the
mean?
essence. I have the essence, and you don't.
The aura. I have the
Yeah,
aura.
the aura.
I also don't wear deodorant.
What do you say?
Like, I also don't wear deodorant, so I'm giving off a few telltales.
The musk.
Musk.
Dude, yo,
Oda
Talking-
student. Oda student.
But,
Yo, talk-
since go on, I just wanted to ask you is what's the biggest story out of Brampton then, election wise? Is it the
definitely
sweep or is it Brampton East?
Robbie,
Um,
go ahead.
Brampton East is huge, I think. But what was the other? Sarah Singh? She got defeated as well, right?
That one wasn't too surprising. Brampton
Yeah, I
Center,
was
she won by a
that.
few
We
hundred
barely
votes,
won last time, yeah.
and she was going against like a pylon last time. So
I mean, who were the Liberal candidates, anyways? We already made fun of the other one the other week who couldn't get her story straight about the
Jonathan
413.
Garrywell, liberal.
Yeah, and then there was in my area was Mudley, so you already knew.
Yeah,
That's already
Yo,
gone.
I thought she would actually win, to be honest.
I thought
Based on what?
name.
Based on like history of that riding, name, and her father's ability to pull votes, yeah.
Possibly,
Yeah,
but
that's totally legit. She's totally legit. to
but
think
she's
she
been
would win.
here and she didn't do much, so I think people remember that, right?
She
So-
doesn't have to.
I think there's two things that I can speak on. One, from like with Brampton East, the other parties didn't have anyone go to the polls to like scrutineer votes, and scrutineering the provincial one is
That's a
so
bad
easy. 'Cause
sign.
all you have to go is literally they print it out, give you a tally, and you just write down the tally number, and you're done, right? If it's really close, you can ask them to like really break down the votes and re-show you like each page and count it manually. But a lot of these liberal campaigns didn't have that volunteer pool to afford scrutineers at every poll. And I don't know if every conservative thing outside did that too, or actually did. I know with Brummies, they had 40 polls, 32 polls or something. They had a scrutineer at every single one of them. So 30
I mean, that's just
people, right?
that just shows you the volunteer strength, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
the way it looks at it.
But
And-
You know, so it doesn't. I mean, if you're gonna win, what's the point of
influence that
scrutinizing?
too, right? The polls have
Yeah.
one party winning. You're gonna have more volunteers.
That's
Everybody
it.
knows where your party is on election night.
And like I know Hardeep Garewal in Brampton East. He was pretty active volunteer wise. And Gurratan in the past has always been, we have so many kids, we don't know what to do with them. We're gonna put them on a corner, shaking signs and stuff. They didn't have that this year. You know what I mean? Like that aura of youth and DP-ness, it's kind of gone. Like a lot of the kids at Hardeep's thing and at Brumsing's thing, high school kids, right? So I think it's a shift in times like that. It's cool to be NDP rebellion activist thing. It's gone. Now it's kind of like, yo, fuck you, pay me. We want to get on the money party train.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a youth conservative movement that people are kind of dismissing. And I think it comes and
I
goes
mean,
in waves.
because
But
to your point earlier, though, I don't understand that notion. I get why they think conservative means racist, and that label's thrown out there. But isn't the only way to change that narrative to be part of the process to change it?
100%,
You know, to be part of the party and bring a new narrative. I mean, look. In certain areas of the country, it doesn't matter what political label you want to call yourself. They're all going to be cut from the same cloth, right?
Mm-hmm.
They could be liberal and still be racist. They could be conservative and be racist. That doesn't really matter. But you know, I think the like NDP and Brampton in particular with these kids, I think they did have an opportunity, but people grew up. The NDP doesn't have a platform, man. Like, where are they? You know,
They are, you know, what do you need? Fine, done. Anything for an election. The desperation alone
but that's
is
what the
enough.
liberals are too now.
It is so counterintuitive. That alone will, I think, turn off voters. If you're going to promise me the moon and more, I'm not going to take you seriously.
Yeah.
But really, what I'm curious about now, like, as soon as one election's over, I'm like, okay, who lost? Okay, so this person, what's their backup? Okay, I don't think they're going to go back into private practice or the private sector anytime soon. Are they looking for municipal runs? And then I'm like, well, the municipal election is only a few months away. It's this fall. Let's see who makes the switch over to that.
Mm.
And then I don't know. I feel like there's always opportunities there. Like,
you think?
I mean, who's going to run for
he'll do
leader?
it?
Even the other opposite spectrum, who's going to run for leader?
that was another big story, right? Ford won so decisively that both leaders are like, "Fuck this, we're done."
Oh, forget
Someone
it.
said in my group, one of my
didn't
groups,
even win
like,
his seat.
Thanos. He took out 2
Thanos.
leaders. Yeah.
Boom. Yeah, 2 leaders, 1 snap.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm really impressed with the juggler.
Forget everything else. It's so bad the liberal leader didn't even win his seat. Forget everything else. He is the Bandar of the week, if we can call it earlier. Come on,
The broke man's Lex Luthor. Someone had the greatest description of DelDuca. They're like, DelDuca is the beige crayon, the one you never even pick up. Right?
They're
I thought that was a
uninspiring, man.
I
They're
thought that was-
uninspiring.
I feel like with politicians generally, a good politician, you're either going to hate them or love them. They got to be a little bit polarizing in terms of their.
I mean, the problem with the Liberal Party, they should have blown it all up after the last election. There should have been none of the old guard or any of the Dalton, McGuinty, Kathleen Wynne legacy running for the leadership of that party. If they had blown it up, brought in someone who was exciting, doesn't mean they were going to win. I'm not saying that, but surely they maybe would have got official party status again. I mean,
yeah.
You know, like, let's look at it from that perspective, right?
I mean,
they're not looking for a win. They're just looking for some seats. So
I 100% didn't see them losing as bad as they did. I generally thought the Liberals would do better than what they did. I thought they would steal more NDP seats back.
not after, not even 3 weeks ago, you felt like they had a chance.
I thought they'd do a little bit better than this. I didn't think they'd do a complete repeat.
They really didn't. I mean, they did bad. I know. Conservatives just did really well. I mean, they were second in all their polls, pretty much.
They did, yeah. They were second.
Right? So they didn't really. They're still the second party of choice for Ontario.
They just
one, two.
not
Exactly. It's just the Conservatives.
I mean, it's the way this writings and stuff all break down.
Yeah.
First it passed, you know, all that stuff that Reggie wanted to say as an analyst. But
Pundit. That's the pundit. Yeah.
yeah, keep going.
So, yeah, I don't think they did horribly, but yeah, DelDuca is not it. And yeah, to your point, Robbie, I mean, if we've seen a trend in the last, 70 years, who is more captivating now? It's people want something fresh, and fresh means not your atypical politician, someone from the private sphere, or someone who's outspoken in the media. Someone who can captivate people. Now it's more about personality, right? So pedigree doesn't really matter that much. I think that's what's gonna captivate and win voters. I mean, it translates to what's going on in the conservative race right now too, right? It's the most captivating conservative race federally. It's the most captivating guy,
Which is Pierre by far. He's the most captivating, but PP wins. I can't. I have a hard time voting conservative if PP
I'm
wins.
not
As
voting
much as
conservative
What?
if he wins.
That's
Yeah.
a 180, brother.
no, I
You were all
mean
PP.
I was, and then he kept saying dumber and dumber things, and then I'm like, at this point, I cannot. As much as I wanted a fresh charisma, he has some charisma to him, even if it's a punchable face charisma. Um, he just has so much stupidity.
He's stupid.
Right? It's just like I cannot openly
He's a PP.
agree with. Yeah, he's just like brown piss. At some point, you just realize you're not drinking enough water.
Yellow.
Okay.
What? Brown?
You need to go to the doctor. I'm just letting
What
you know if it's brown.
Look, brown piss is the piss that no one wants. That's the piss that you have to go see.
Like,
a
are you
doctor for,
talking
right?
about runs? Are you getting the runs? Like,
No, but look,
The
all I'm
brown
saying,
piss?
he's not the good piss. He's not the type of piss that's nice and clear, and you're like, yeah, he's healthy. He's that you're
Like
not
the one that
healthy
R.
type
Kelly
piss.
wants to drink.
Yeah,
You're talking
so-
about like the dirty
Fuck.
one.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so like Pierre's just gone, and the liberals with their gun thing was a very good political move in my opinion, because as soon as they brought that up, they made every CPC candidate kind of get their position down on where they're going to land on guns, right? And then there's not going to be a right position on it that is going to appease liberal voters. Any position they come out with, the liberals are going to be like, look, scary conservative likes his guns. He wants mass shootings here in Canada. It's a brilliant move by the liberals to force their hand to comment on something that most people wouldn't want to comment on. But yeah, PP, man, fuck him. I'm so like, he needs to do what the Douglas did and just, Douglas had one message:
Mute.
get her done, get her done. I don't know if he said anything else throughout the campaign except we're gonna get her done. 413, we're gonna get the 413 done. He stayed on script, made sure all his MPPs weren't allowed to say anything else. PP needs
They
to
weren't allowed to talk to the media. That's the best part.
PP, honest to God, all PP has to do, even during this leadership run, is fuck inflation.
Be
We're
quiet.
gonna take care of
Just be quiet.
Yeah.
I'm gonna work for you. I'm
Yeah.
gonna work for you. I'm gonna make it better for every Canadian out there. The hard work. That's all he has to say. When he starts talking about technical stuff, like, man, we're not that stupid. You know what it is? That's my problem. He assumes every Canadian's stupid enough to believe his bullshit. Right? We know he's a politician. We know he's already gonna do that. But like to blatantly come out and say or act like he's smarter than people, come on, man.
When
That's
he's like,
my
I'm gonna-
issue with him.
I think I started to go off the PP train when he's like, I'm going to ban every politician from attending the World Economic Forum. And I'm like, oh, fuck, he's going to really go down.
Stupid. He's so dumb.
That's when I was like, holy smokes, we got a genius here, boys. I don't know. I don't even want to give PP any more airtime. We've talked way too much about him.
Yeah, and I think like the Ontario election was pretty interesting, to be honest.
It was cool to see the Brampton sweep. Okay, so thoughts on Gurratan losing 10 years, that legacy done. Are they going to ever
That's-
get it back?
Huge blow. And I think that party, I'll be honest, man, I think it goes Black Liberal next election.
Provincially or
Federally and provincially. I think
federally, it's already liberal.
Oh,
Okay.
Hey, this should be a drinking game. How is this not a drinking game already?
Well, I don't drink.
Shot. We had a shot. There should
Here
have
we
been two
go.
already.
under my desk.
Um,
And I was gonna say I don't. I think it's like you guys said it is kind of dependent, man. They're gonna have to put up someone who is charismatic, that people do want to vote for. I don't know. I don't know if anyone's voting like that anymore.
You know, I think that.
Or some guy who has a
I
huge
don't know,
family.
It's
That's
his
my other-
brother. It's his brother. To me, I mean, I think it all rests on Jagmeet. It's not even Gurratan's fault, to be honest.
Why?
It's still seen as Jagmeet's writing. I would
Is it?
call me crazy. I think so, man. Is Jagmeet's writing? It's his place. He's the one who won it. He's the one who got that first foothold there. So yeah. So when Gurratan lost it, I mean, I saw it as a reflection on Jagmeet's popularity, where things stand with him. I even saw in the media somebody said, maybe one of you guys retweeted it. It was on my feed. Somebody interviewed 11 people in Brampton East who said they voted NDP in the last election and they didn't this time around. And then when they were asked why, 10 of those 11 said because Jagmeet did some shady shit that they used to see in India with the liberal, um,
Oh, the
alliance.
alliance.
And I was like, why the fuck are people? I was thinking it like this is a reflection of Jagmeet, but I guess like it's out there. People still consider this party, or sorry, this riding Jagmeet's, and not voting for Gurratan was like a reflection on what people's attitudes are on him.
Isn't that really stupid though? Like
Oh,
I
100%
think
stupid. 100%.
you're taking your federal frustrations out in a provincial election.
100%. But like people go to city councilors and complain about immigration. It's like they have a sense of what branch of
Yeah,
government
but that's
does
you know whose
what.
problem that is? That is the stupid counselor saying, "Handi kar dunge." We'll do it, no problem. See, I'm gonna look into that for you. Don't worry, I'll do it for you. I told you about this,
Everybody
like
does it.
over
I mean,
promising.
you can go to you can go to any MPP's office today, and somebody will ask them immigration question or immigration help, and they'll say yes, yes, yes. They can't do shit. It's a federal mandate, but
Yeah.
they'll still do it. They'll still write the letter too, right? So it's.
But isn't that a weakness in our community that maybe we just don't understand our own politics and our own political system?
People didn't have to take civics.
So one thing I think I disagree with it here is I don't think it's a lack of understanding. But say someone donated to a provincial candidate, right? They're gonna be like, "Look, man, I voted for you. I donated to you. Tu kam kara hona." Don't pass the buck and tell me I gotta go to the federal guy who I have no relationship with. You do that for me. That's
So
your
you paid
job.
pay for play or whatever it is.
Look, this is pay for play all the time. That's just like you can pretend like that doesn't exist. That's
No, I know it
Right.
exists. I'm just saying, but then that's what it comes down to, right? You're not really.
like, look, if you go to a provincial MPP and you ask them for a favor, even if that favor is them having to talk to a different branch of government, if they don't have a relationship with you, it doesn't matter if you donate to them or not. If you don't have a relationship with that person that's coming to you, and they're just gonna be like, listen, this is who you need to really talk to. 311, call this person, talk to your counselor. He's your counselor. They have a list of all provincial MPPs sitting. They have a list of all like their counterparts in various branches of the government with their phone numbers. Hey, here's the number you should be calling. If you have any problems, come back to me. We'll talk. If they have a relationship with you, they know that, hey, this guy came out and he volunteered for me, or hey, this guy's family pulled out these many votes, etc. They're gonna make the call for you to that department. You know what I mean? That's just
Scratch
life.
your back.
It's,
Scratch, yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's scratching your back. It's just general good business. It's like we'll make the
That's
call
how
for
you-
you instead
yeah.
of referring.
No, it's
it down,
favoritism
right?
in a as a paid public employee. That is scratching your back.
I mean, it's
That's
all
you're not
business.
supposed to do that.
What are you talking
It's
about? It's
networking.
pragmatism, man. Get out of here.
It's just
not?
networking.
It's not favoritism that you treat someone who walks in the door differently than any other one of your constituents.
If you can tell who they are
not
and how,
That is favoritism.
It's not favoritism.
That is
It's not because you like them more.
it's
Because
It's not because you
Favoritism?
like them more. It's just
It's-
more practical. It makes sense.
this relationship matters more to me than the other relationship. Like everyone judges relationships like that, right? I mean, it's not something provincial politicians or federal politicians want to do for people.
You
They
guys
want to
are
do
such
just the
PC
minimum.
guys. I can see it.
I mean, the liberals were doing this too. NDP
I
guys
know.
should have
I'm
been
just
doing it.
I'm just talking shit. I'm just
Um,
talking shit. Everyone does it.
Robbie
But-
hit a new tax bracket. That's why he hit. He voted PC.
He needed that kickback. No, what I'm really curious though.
That's a federal thing, though, my friend.
Yeah.
Well, there's a
You don't know
provincial
civics
taxes.
either.
A little bit of provincial, but
Yo, look, what I'm curious about though is what happens now. Like Brampton East, I don't see any other candidates that they can pull up that are going to want us to go back to that riding. I honestly think Gurratan goes city. I feel like that's the play for him.
or he takes the pay and becomes some kind of consultant.
I think he goes for leadership
Leadership.
because it's a better story on the internet.
But here's my thing with that is
Oh,
leadership.
it is. It'll be like, oh,
It is.
brothers. They're both
No,
brothers. Or
they're both leading.
yay,
But to
oh.
get for the leadership, he doesn't have his own seat, right? So he needs to
Segue
he's
to
not-
the Bangla guy in Manitoba.
Yeah, like he doesn't
Sorry,
have his seat
go
though.
ahead.
How do you get? That's my biggest knock on his leadership ambitions. Is had he won Brampton East, then I could see him going for the leadership. But he doesn't have Brampton East.
Hmm.
His brother did it.
Yeah, but yeah, that was interesting too. I didn't really think that
Yeah.
was going to come to play. But does
Yeah, his
Jagmeet
brother
step
did
down?
it.
That was another rumor. Jagmeet to leave federal and come back to provincial leadership
And save the
Please don't.
party.
I mean,
and save the party, kind of.
I think the party really needs to see who they want to be, right? I mean, once they kind of figure that out, because like these guys are not NDP guys, both the brothers. They don't come from that world. They don't come from union workers. So if the NDP stays true to their colors and becomes who they are, they might find somebody, right?
Hold on. I'm gonna correct you right there.
What?
Gurratan is a
What?
hardcore NDP guy since I've known him.
Man, you can't grow up be rich and be lawyers and think you're an NDP person, right? You're not going to get the plight of a poor man. That's what the NDP is all about the
Hold
general
on.
worker. You
There's
can't
so many lawyers who are
it's
NDP.
the biggest criticism of
I don't
Jagmeet.
know.
He used to show up to meetings. He used to show up to meetings wearing a Rolex or a nice Tom Ford suit. How can you understand the plight of anyone else, right? You could to a degree, but you can't say you come from that world. All I'm saying is maybe they find out who they are. Maybe there is some union worker or some union leader that people gravitate towards and fits more in with their goals. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying they can't run in politics. It's just they seemed completely opposite of what the NDP were. That's my view of it. You know, I get when a unionized nurse might want to run for the NDP. I get that. That makes sense. I understand it. But private industry guys running for the NDP, really?
Or like labor activists or hardcore grassroots
Are they?
activists. They used to be.
Were they
100%.
labor lawyers? Were they
Yeah,
labor lawyers?
He was a
I thought
civil
they were
criminal
criminal.
lawyer.
They're criminal lawyers, aren't they?
Criminal.
Yeah, that doesn't count.
And then before that, they were hardcore activists who used to raid and like show up places and scream profanities at other politicians, which kind of came
But
around
what
at
does
them this year.
activists have to do with the NDP? That's not the NDP's model all the time.
NDP has always been about grassroots activism.
Boys.
Eh.
I gotta say, Robbie, Shinda's right. A lot of these NDP politicians are, well, I think a bunch of them are lawyers. To be honest, I don't, but
No, I agree. I'm not. Look, I'm not saying you guys are wrong on that.
you can say their lifestyle doesn't really fit the NDP, cookie cutter shape. I agree.
Motto, whatever. Yeah,
Fine,
that's
even
all I'm
motto,
trying to say.
The champagne
fair.
socialist is a valid.
but that's exactly it.
All I'm saying is if the Liberal Party had let Jagmeet in, would he be an NDPer? That's my question to you.
He would have been
Would
NDP
he, if
from
he
day
had
one.
a choice, between the NDP or the Liberal Party, who's he going to?
NDP.
Liberal Party.
NDP.
Liberal
Party.
Party.
man.
Buddy, this guy
Liberal
friggin'
Party.
Hold on. When he came into politics, he could have gone to the Liberal Party. He opted for the NDP, and everyone said, "Yo, you're an idiot for going to the NDP. Go Liberals."
I don't think they let him in.
Okay,
No,
you've lost
man.
You've lost it. You've lost it. You've lost the plot, my friend.
I don't
Robbie's
know why
right.
you guys think these guys are liberal at heart. They were always
I never said these guys. I didn't say
No,
these
no,
guys.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
You said
An
Jagmeet.
opportunity.
No.
Opportunity
Jagmeet, as far as
presents
I've
itself.
known
They
him-
took it. Like you can't
no.
hate on what they did. Look, what they accomplished. I'm not talking about that. Kudos to them. I'm just saying, as the party going forward, the NDP is really going to have to do some kind of self-reflection on who they really are, and the person who's going to come to the forefront is going to speak to that conversation. If they say, "Well, we're trying to be the new liberals, and we are not this hardcore union, party," then anyone can come in. Granted,
Look,
he can go for leadership.
all
But
that-
if the narrative is that it has to be someone from their world, then that's what I think. I don't know.
Look, all I know is from high school.
Senti on this, eh?
No. I just want to make sure that we're not.
This is the
throwing
last
things around.
podcast.
This is
I love talking shit.
Yeah. No. All I'm gonna say is, as far as I've known his team, these guys were volunteering for NDP before volunteering for NDP was a thing.
Would they? I'm just asking you. Do you generally think if the Liberal Party gave him an invitation to run when the Liberals were in power? Okay, when the Liberals were actually in power, say, "Hey, man, we need another guy. You're in the community. People respect you. Come on through. You're going to be our candidate." You think he would turn it down?
Yes.
No.
I've known they were hard. How do you get someone who was volunteering for the NDP when the NDP was lame as fuck? Volunteering and helping like local riding candidates.
Oh, so they're not lame now.
No, I mean whatever. I'm just saying that from the beginning of time, these guys were the only guys advocating for like fringe NDP candidates. From the
possibly. I'm not.
So how can you say that?
I'm just saying their storyline generally, what people who don't know them, just doesn't jive with what you typically would think NDPers are. That's all I'm saying, right? They don't fit that persona. Aside from the activism, that's great. But I
That's the
mean,
biggest part of NDP's.
NDP is a
grassroots thing.
union party, man. It's fights for unions, you know, and they lost the construction. The unions were standing behind Doug Ford. They
Yeah.
need to reevaluate who they are. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that these guys aren't good politicians. They were great, man. You gotta give them their flowers, as you would say, right? But I'm just saying, in the future, you're talking about leadership of the NDP, man. That's quite the step from losing in Brampton East. That's all I'm saying. You know.
You guys think any new mayor candidates are gonna just jump in?
No.
I was kind of thinking Gurratan for mayor would be an interesting side.
I honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he just takes a nice, cushy consultant job, get paid for a little while.
So when it
Or
comes to
help out his brother on his federal team. Yeah.
Maybe he runs for MP next election.
Well,
Who knows?
Jagmeet, I mean, to be honest, I think he's in a little bit of trouble now, especially with their own community. These videos of these
What is this about?
these
Calling
lunatics.
him a
I honestly,
sellout?
Singh?
Sellout?
Sing.
Sellout Singh. Yeah, I saw, and it's like trending on Twitter. Can you guys explain to me? I didn't even look into it. I just saw that.
The only guest on our show since we rebooted, the Punjabi, he's sending me these videos. He's like, "Yo, you guys everybody in your community hates Jagmeet now. What's going on?" And I was like, "Yo, I don't know who these guys are. They're like really fringe."
Senshinda's the Jagmeet defender right now. Let's let him explain what's going on.
Do you
What's
think
going
it had
on?
an impact? Do you think this is having an impact?
I think on the coolness factor, yeah. I think it's showing that sentiment is changing. You go to Bramley Road. Bramley Road's a great sentiment indicator of our community, of where people's heads are with who's funny, who's not, who's in, who's not, music-wise, culture-wise, all that stuff. 4 years ago, you could scroll down, find NDP posts on Bramley Road. The comments were all generally positive. They were able to capture people, like people were on their side. And now everything they post is a meme to hell on that post. So is the community turning on them? Yes, 100%. I think.
But what's it based on? I'm just the whole sellout thing. What is it? Is this just his allegiance with Trudeau? Is that the kind of?
So the sellout thing's a little separate. That's separate to the sentiment. The sentiment is generally, Jagmeet's been hardcore TikTok. He's old as fuck. It's like a boomer kind of stay cool, right? That's where like the sentiment shift has kind of been, is like, yo man, grow up, start doing policy work, stop making TikToks. And I think just generally people are kind of over the whole, you guys are content creators, or their brand of content, I guess. The sellout Singh part came from, there's a group, Sovereign Seva, who, they were the guys in Ottawa that Ranjit hated, that were protesting.
Oh, the truckers.
The truckers.
Oh, fucking,
right?
don't even fucking. They're
So, yeah.
ophthalmologists.
Yeah, so it's that group that they were in Ottawa protest. The guys with the "fuck Jagmeet" sign. Same group has been kind of like ragging him here now during any of his public appearances.
Oh, what is it still on this vaccine? They're still on that?
Yeah, so what they're saying is like the NDP platform, like Andrea Horwath and I think DelDuca. When DelDuca said that he wants to vaccinate kids, that's what turned a lot of these guys like there. And then Jagmeet was like, no, we need to vaccinate everyone. He's pro-vaccination. And then him siding with Trudeau, who was obviously pro-vaccination. So it was more the him siding with Trudeau thing that turned them more against Jagmeet. But also the fact that he was pro-vaccination that kind of said you're against Sikhi, because in their mind, being pro-COVID lockdown, pro-vaccination, whatever, and is a sign that you're not a... Yeah, they're saying he's tyrannical. Like, they are legit equating him to Aurangzeb right now. If you have a conversation with them, they'll be like, yo, this guy's Aurangzeb, he's not a Sikh.
What do they do for day jobs? I'm just curious.
I don't know. One of them was, oddly enough, has like 1,000,001 degrees from like a fifth party Punjab university or something. It was kind of memeing today on Twitter. I saw that.
I know what you're talking about. I saw that too.
Yeah, so honestly, I don't know what they do for days. I don't know too much more on their things. I like the fact that they're like going around doing langar seva and stuff for homeless people. I thought that was cool. I find a lot of their beliefs really cracked out. I openly, I'm like, you guys really don't have a good understanding of what you're arguing against. But hey, what do I know?
And people got time, man. That's all we gotta understand.
Time.
People have time. It's
So
okay. But it's scary. It's scary that you're saying just this little fringe again element.
I mean, I say it's fringe because
change public or our community perception of the brothers.
So when I'm saying fringe, I'm saying it's a small group, right? It's like what 5-6 guys that I've seen over and over again. And they might say, hey, we're not fringe. We got a real movement behind us. We got like 1 million followers. All our tweets get retweeted by 1,000. But like when I look at the comments and who's retweeting, it's a bunch of white people. White people are celebrating the shit out of these guys.
Well, they're the anti-vaxxers, right?
Yeah, like the people
Or anti-Singhs. They just don't like him, you know. So.
Or they don't. Yeah, so they're definitely finding a crowd there.
I mean,
but their meme is, so Elon Musk had this great tweet a long time ago, which was whoever controls the meme controls the world. These guys are controlling the meme right now. And you got to admit to that, like, when they post stuff, it's going viral. People are picking up on it. Bramley Road wants to post that video, good or wrong, right? Yeah, whoever can control the narrative. And they're pushing this narrative
the
that's
problem
getting picked
Jagmeet
up.
is, like, the reason why those narratives are taking hold is the shine or the luster is off the whole...
The hype is dead.
The hype is dead.
Yeah, it's not, you know, whole, like, I love everybody, I'm going to do this, and I care for everybody. Hey, man, do something. You know, or just talk policy. He's a smart guy. He's not, you know, he's an intelligent person. He goes trying to be everyone's friend. And I think if a lot of people are trying to think that he doesn't have anything else, when he probably has a lot more to say, but it gets overlooked, right? So, you know, and I think the same thing's happening with Trudeau. I mean, Trudeau squeaked by in the last election. And people are now, I don't think he's going to win the next one. I would be shocked.
No.
Yeah, I would be shocked.
If he wins, if anybody but a centrist
wins
that CPC election, Trudeau wins again.
Fear is a great motivator. Never
Fair
forget.
enough.
Fear
Yeah,
is a great
fair
motivator. If you get someone scary like a PP as your leader, and PP is scary to centrists and to
JT is
progressives.
He's hoping PP wins.
Oh, they're pushing him hard.
They're probably promoting his own tweets.
They're probably
stuff,
paid.
I mean,
they probably have lobby groups like helping push memberships towards them. They're probably setting them
I
up
think
themselves.
Patrick Brown or even Charest. Is Charest still in the race? I'm assuming
Yeah.
he is. It poses a bigger challenge for Trudeau because they seem normal, right? So
yeah, no, I'm like, I was a Brown guy, then a PP guy, and then I'm like, holy shit, PP's crazy. So back to Brown or Charest. So I'm on the winning side, really.
I mean, that's I just think that's the problem with the brothers. Like I mean, they've had quite a reign. I mean, it's not like they've been here for a minute. They've been here for a while.
No, it's been a full decade,
So,
10 years.
Yeah, man. And he's the leadership of the NDP party. Like he's done it. The question is now, do people want to continue? And I think that's the question, right? If he was in the Liberal Party, I think he still would have been around for many years to come.
See, I agree with you
But
there.
the
If he
NDP
was
party,
a liberal,
you know?
if he was, he'd have a lot longer career as a liberal than he.
Because he
will
is a
as
liberal. He is a liberal. Back to my point.
Oh man. Anyways, I'm curious what happens municipally now. I think that's
All I'm saying is, I would say in the next election, like this election, I saw more fair sale signs this election than political signs, and you know that's a problem. That's when you know how people don't care about politics. Okay, so that's what I hope the next election we see a little bit more political signs and less for sale signs, and we know
you
we're
want
back.
you want the signs, eh?
Yeah, well, hey man, in our community, that's a sign of people being engaged. This time they're like, yo, forget it. We didn't know if we're gonna stay in the house or just sell the house.
I legit got a call. They're like, "Can we put a sign up?" I'm like, "I'll vote for you, but don't put a sign up, man. I'm worried about my neighbors coming at me."
It's people going around canvassing and somebody's opened the door thinking it's a buyer.
The bet.
Oh, you're here for the open house? No, it's election time. Get off my lawn.
Get out of here.
We're living in wild times, man. Yeah, one thing else I want to talk about. I don't know if you guys saw what happened with Elon Musk, where he told all his employees to get back to the office. Or
Yeah. The stay work at home stuff. I saw that.
I saw him talking about getting rid of 10% of his workforce. I don't know about this come back to the office thing.
Okay, so he kind of tweeted out a memo that I don't know if the memo got leaked or got. I mean, obviously it got published.
It was an email.
It was an email. Yeah, I don't know why they call emails memos, but maybe there's something more to it. But he sent an email to all employees saying, "Hey, you got to spend at least 40 hours in person at the offices, at the factories. Show your presence. The more senior you are, the more time you have to spend showing face." Said that's how great products are made. A lot of people on Twitter, including myself, are like, "What a friggin' Luddite." If you can work from home, work from home. What difference does it make? Our company, all few companies I last worked with, everyone's gone work from home. All employees want to stay work from home, and productivity is at the same rate. Culture may take a bit of a hit, but as far as work getting done, it's better if not equivalent with everyone
But
working from home.
maybe he's seeing something different, right? That's the other
Well,
perspective.
Bigger companies, I agree, man. But smaller, mid-sized firms, firms, I mean, companies. Um, I think the interaction is important, especially if you want to grow. Then things like culture are important, right? But when, I'm not gonna say where you work, Shinde, but like it's a big company, so when you are, a number, an employee number, it doesn't really matter, right? With where you are. But when you are, 1/5 of your team or 1/5 of your department, then it kind of does matter.
but like,
And the interaction matters
so
for
look, the
growth.
company I was at previously, that was a lot smaller, and I will say that when everyone went work from home, the culture did take a huge nosedive. And just in terms of people's like, oh, okay, yeah, your funness, you're wanting to like hang out and stuff. I don't think it was necessarily a bad thing because I think work and all that stuff stayed the same and every like I was kind of like happy where I was working from home. But to your point, Tesla's a big company. It's not a
I mean,
Yeah.
mid-size.
so my perspective on that would be, I mean, if you're talking about work culture, I don't know how much enthusiasm plays into your work life in terms of, I mean, I'm assuming these guys are planning lots of projects and working with one another. And it's not so much the efficiency, it might be the synergy with one another. The willingness to work, to get stuff done, the ideas that are coming out. And maybe he sees more stuff happening in person than he does, working at home. The other side of it, what I read was someone tweeted that this possibly might be a way for him to lay off some of his workforce.
Or not lay off, but forcefully
Yeah.
retire them.
So the stock doesn't tank. Yeah. So
Because,
it
and
was,
he doesn't have to give them severance no more because they willingly resigned.
yeah. So I mean, who knows what he's thinking half the time? And I mean, everybody thinks they know. I don't think anyone knows what's going through his mind, but I can understand that. I mean, if I had a place where new ideas are being formed and a lot of that's face to face or just talking, I have no insight on how these companies work. This is just me.
There is something
Speculating, if you
magical
will.
about being able to brainstorm in person together.
No, like if you're in a meeting and maybe you guys are talking about a new product or new ideas and places like SpaceX and Tesla and everything he runs are based off on great ideas. So yeah, I could see him being like, look, this is how I want to work, so you should work the same. So
Yeah.
that's the way I look at it, right? So
And some people just inspire people in person, whereas being online is a hard way for them to inspire and like get people
and are you
amped up.
you're
for the
not as
product.
loyal. Would you be as loyal would you be as enthusiastic of where you work at?
No,
You're
that's
going into
definitely
the office, you're seeing the
That
brand,
connection's gone.
you
Yeah.
that's
and you
definitely
feel like
been
you're part of a team. You're competing against your competitors, and he's in a sticky situation now in the coming years because everyone's kind of catching up. All right, so it's going to be Tesla versus the world essentially.
yeah.
So it's going to be interesting in the next 5 to 6 years what they come out with, and are people going into Tesla, leaving Tesla, going to other companies? I don't know.
No, to your point, there's definitely a stickiness with having to into a company versus working from home. Because if you're working from home, there is generally like, well, I'm doing one job. What's the difference between this place and that place? I'm doing the exact same thing, kind of. And I think companies all reported that there was a higher turnover rate. People were more willing to like take interviews and switch jobs during COVID. I mean, I guess I'm an example of that. But yeah, no, there is something to good leaders, like not a good leaders, but inspirational leaders like Steve Jobs or Elon Musk, where they're able to get people to work double the overtime by interacting with them, by them being able to inspire people to believe in their ideas. It's like, yeah, we're working for a bigger cause, and I need
Passion.
you. The
Passion.
passion, and that's something they can't probably convey online, and I don't blame them. I don't think most people can.
I mean, it might be the managers going back to him saying, hey, we're having a hard time meeting, X amount deadlines because there's this whole back and forth with emails. Like, I don't understand how you guys do it. And it must be like 1,000 emails coming through that you got to
everybody's
read.
working from home. You don't know when someone's off to make a lunch or make breakfast or, go run an errand because they're working from home and nobody's checking in on them. It's really hard to have that synergy, I find.
I mean,
And let's be honest. The real ideal, like now that Pandora's box is open, hybrid is the way to go.
like for us, it's
Well,
just
I
like
mean,
you
the
have one
banks-
chat open, right? The chat's always open. You're conveying, like, if you got to take a 30-minute shit, you're like, hey, I'm going to be back in 30 minutes. You let everyone know. It almost feels
But
like
I
you're
mean,
kind
I'm
of
sure aren't they creating algorithms to watch your work efficiency through your computer?
people don't
Like,
like being
haven't they already
watched.
done that?
You can measure work just generally, right? You know how long something takes.
Hmm.
But I don't think companies want to be. No employee wants to feel like they're being watched that closely,
Yeah.
I mean,
just for
that's why they want to
morale.
work at home.
Yeah.
That's why they want to work at home,
I mean, look,
right?
at the office, everyone wants that private office over like that cubicle for the same
Yeah.
reason. So,
Yeah.
We know who has that
Private
though.
office bitches.
with a view,
But
What the
the banks, interestingly enough, have revoked all the vaccination requirements for
oh, have they?
in-person workers just this week. Some of the major banks, so they're clearly ramping up to bring everybody back as well. So I think working at home is gonna ramp to an end. To be honest with you guys, or they're gonna just find a way to lay off the force. Who doesn't want to come back? Outsource some of those jobs.
I think for certain positions.
Yes, I don't think it's completely gone, Robbie, but yeah. Especially if companies are making money and saving on overhead.
And if it's something to keep employees around, because a lot of companies are going to be like, well, everyone needs to come back now. All this talent that they've acquired from across the country is just like, yeah, I'm not ready to move. No, I'm happy where I'm living. I'm going to find something more local then.
Mm, fair
Interest
enough.
rates are up. I'm not ready to sell.
I guess I just think it's I don't know why the companies would want you to come back to work. Like maybe that's the same thing they're thinking as Elon's thinking, maybe.
Possibly. I
But
mean,
yeah,
it
I
all
agree
depends
with
on the
you guys. If
leadership.
it's efficient, I don't get why you would want people
It's always
cut
going to
your
be in any, senior execs or managers' head that if they're not here, they're fucking off.
or I can't control them, right? Or they
Yeah.
don't get that ego rub that they need, right? I
Hmm.
have everybody around me who says, "Oh, hi, how are you?"
Before I get
You
to,
know.
yeah. Quickly going on, Ranch, you weren't here last week. Your thoughts on Moosewale Sidhu's passing and stuff? I know you're way more intertwined with the culture stuff, with the music and all
Yeah.
that.
I don't know way more, but
I mean,
yeah.
way more
Oh
than
Lord.
me.
Uh,
I don't. Yeah, I am.
yeah. I mean, look, anything I say, I gotta put it here. There's some people who are very near and dear to me. RG, shout out to you. You're really closest to do. So if you're listening, anything I say, um, don't take it the wrong way. But Sidhu, huge loss for the community. I liked his work. His recent work wasn't too crazy about, but generally, still like he was a fresh take on the Punjabi music scene. So, fucking huge loss. The way he went, that really shook me. Um, Going back home all the time, well, home Punjab all the time. Um, I'm aware of the violence there, that what kind of guard you need to have up. Um, that's not lost on me, but the brazenness and the attack, that was fucking crazy.
Mm.
The one thing I didn't like, and I really hate this about our community, is the second someone of note passes away, uh, anybody who's somewhat of a leader or somewhat outspoken, it's this fucking paranoia of the boogeyman government did it. Like, come on. There's clear and obvious signs that there's some sort of, retribution or gang related violence, whether it's to do like some of whatever connection is being, put out there with Sidhu, it seems really remote, that he had some weird connection to be a gang or some shit like that. He was vaguely involved in, just favoring one gang over another through his music or his personal relations. No real bad thing he did. But like, fuck. First of all, we don't need a boogeyman. The second thing, and jump in. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think before he died, anybody ever really equated him with the Khalistan or Sant Singh movement, or really equated him with that. The second he passed away, somehow he got put into that box. Just somehow, and why? Why do we need that? Is it because we have a fucking vacuum of Bantik leaders? Like there's nobody there. So the second, Deep Deep Sidhu died, you got posters of him and Sanjanal saying, Sidhu died, and all of a sudden we've lost a great voice for Punjab empowerment and the separatist movement or nationalist movement of Punjab. Like, no, man, like these guys were great motivators, great leaders in their own right. I wouldn't put them in that umbrella or in that tent, per se. Like they were put after they
I don't
died,
think
but
Sidhu would think of himself as
yeah, he was on a key one that
I
seems
don't
like
think he would say he was on, like, he was so humble as a person. I don't even think he would say, I'm like, yeah, this is who I am. Like, I think it's strange that people are invoking that, you know, putting him next to Sanjay Singh at that point. But for me, I would say his bravado, his ability to speak his mind and through his music and that ego that he has, I think that was cool. I think that should be celebrated, right? That aspect of it.
yeah,
But
he was a macho guy.
you
I mean,
know,
it is what it is. Yeah.
yeah. So just you know, but his musically, man, I think the more as the week went on, and obviously seeing the images from his funeral, the more thing, and you know, playing his music, and you know, maybe it's just listening to his hits. I never knew he didn't have one song about with a drinking in it. I was shocked when I heard that, and I was like, really? And I thought about it, and then I went and started listening to music. I'm like, oh man, this guy's just talking about just him working hard and making nothing else. There's nothing else to his lyrics.
He was
And
humble.
him being a badass and like, you
Well,
know,
I mean, that's what I mean about the
fighting
ego and the
guns and all
confidence
that,
and all
yeah.
that, right? It's I mean, look, that's all hip hop we listen to, anyways, right? But yeah, I was impressed with that. You know, I was, man, I remember listening to one of his songs back in the day. It was East Side Flow or something like that. I'm like, man, I wish this song was around when I was in high school or university, man. It's like, because you want to get to work, get done. It's a great gym song. I'm like, I can understand why the youth is so attracted to that, right? But yeah, man, huge loss, because at the end of the day, man, a Sardar to make it into the, what was he in the top 50 streamed artists in the
was
entire
when he
world?
passed away. As soon as he passed away,
Something
he's been
like
up there.
it's something crazy, right? And
Yeah.
you know,
I think he was
I
like
mean,
top 15 on like streaming as soon as he passed away.
at the end of the day, he's wearing a pug, got that high, and he never made it an issue, never really talked about it. And he goes, "This is who I am," and I think that's cool, man. I think that's the thing that really makes me sad, right? He was a role model for certain people that might have felt a bit different or felt, you know, questioned wearing a pug, and these guys are making it cool. We've talked about other artists in the past, but you know, if I was a kid and I was listening to his music and that happened, yeah, for sure. I don't know about the Puntik stuff, so I'm not gonna, or the political stuff. I'm not gonna comment as an expert all of a sudden, as everybody has been in the last week. But I would say, just as a music fan, the more I listen to it, and which is sad that I've listened to it more in his passing, or appreciated more, as we do all artists. But I wouldn't say I'm listening to him and saying, it's whatever. I'm actually listening to say, this is pretty good. I was just never appreciated it as much, right? So, yeah, it's sad.
I mean, to the Puntik side, like a lot of interviews obviously are getting played on IPTVs and like all these channels, obviously for their own plays, right? And so even my mom and my parents were sitting down and watching them, and my mom's like, she's like, you know, the way they were originally portraying him, that's not what he seems from his interviews. And like the Puntik side, I think, comes from that he was unapologetic to a certain degree to certain things, because he did say, I have a Sanjay Singh poster in my room. You know, he's like, I do look up to Sanjay to a degree. And he's like, I don't know why people make that a big deal. He's like, that's just a hero figure of mine.
You know what's funny?
He didn't take. He wasn't taking the cause.
The guys who allegedly, you know, got him killed, they're big fans of him too.
Yeah, I saw that shit. So I mean, that was the weird thing, because I'm always like, every time someone commits a crime now in India and they're trying to like publish their picture, they always put a Sanjay Singh shirt on them.
Wow.
And so I'm like, now they're really trying to equate this thugdom to like the thing, right? But another thing that was interesting was like watching his concert stuff. Like, you know how rappers or like artists go on like mini little spiels during the concert? Is he did a lot of them where he's like, yo, aapdi Punjabi the star rakhni chahiye sare nu, we need to protect this stuff. Sanu Punjabi bolni chahiye, you got to protect this stuff. Like, he was not, I'm saying a Punjabi nationalist, but like a Punjabi culturalist. Like, we got to preserve Punjabi, we got to preserve Punjabi, right? So whether that gets construed to be, he was like very Puntik minded, or he could have developed into more of a Puntik mind, you know, to be seen. I don't know.
Why does that even matter? I mean, my whole thing is, why does that even matter? Who cares, right? Like, just why are we theorizing what he was and what? Just appreciate what he was, and in that in itself is sad enough, man. You know, like you said, you're talking about songs about Punjabi culture. Even was that 295 song? It says protect our institutions, or you're going to ruin that too,
Yo,
and no one's going to have.
295 is such a dope
And you're
song.
listening.
I've
Yeah, you're
listened
listening to
it
that. You're
many
like,
times, so
damn,
like
man.
that's like
Yeah.
because that's kind of more of my style of music, right? It's not the hardcore dance music. It's like it's lyrical.
Yeah.
I pause like, oh shit, that line was sick. Oh shit, that line's pretty sick. Like that was one of the few songs. But a lot of I'm like you. I'm a hindsight thing. I have more of Moosewale plays post his death than I did all years of him being around, right?
No, I still look. He came out. I mean, the year my daughter was born, and there was my cousin's wedding. Was that first song he came out with? So high. Is it called So High?
So high. That actually wasn't his first song. He had another one before that.
No,
Called,
but that was the big,
yeah, that was his big one.
big hit, right? That's the one that got played at all the weddings and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, man, in 5 years, for a guy to take over the industry, change the style of music, be an artist all over the world, recognitions from every rapper and you know, a lot of rappers, not every rapper, but yeah, man, I think in that narrative, musically, culturally, you know, looking at all these like youths doing these vigils and stuff, man, he meant
I'm
something
all
to
for
them.
it.
so.
If it means something to you, I'm not going to knock you. for
Yeah,
it. If it
I
means
just
something
don't
to you-
like I don't like the control the politicians are taking. There's a WhatsApp video going around where all the like Baudel and all these guys were talking shit about him, and the minute after the death, they're calling him SidhuMoosewale, and they're changing their narrative about who he was. It's like that's the side I don't like. I don't like the
Political
opportunistic,
opportunism.
you know. But there's general fans out there. There's general people that really this meant something to them, right? So.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to ask you, we were talking about this at the start of the show. What's going on with the gang stuff? Like, what is it that? Well, can you fill us in on any of that, Ranji?
Okay. You guys heard of the guys that took responsibility, Goldie Brar and what's his name?
Lawrence
Lawrence
Bishnoi.
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 Lawrence, just for clarity, Lawrence is not a white guy, right?
No,
I'm
it's
just assuming he's an Indian guy.
He's
His name
Punjabi.
Lawrence?
He's Punjab guy. Punjabi
Alright.
guy.
Just Lawrence,
Uh,
that's what he was named? That's his brother?
Yeah, he was named Lawrence. I don't know if that was like the name he took at birth or whatnot, but yeah. So he has a gang based in Punjab. If you guys, let me rewind it back. One of the biggest elections in Punjab is the student body elections in university. Okay, I'll go on YouTube right after we record this. Google like riots between Sopu and Pusu or something like that. Those are like the two like government student bodies that are in all the big universities. Wild fights, huge rallies. People take you seriously because if you win one of those posts, you're guaranteed a career in politics after you leave university, and you're gonna make money. Okay, so what's happened is, who wants to control power? Politicians, and gangsters, right? So they want to control spheres of influence. So over the last, let's say 15 years or so, it's been gangsters that have been taking over. And when they lose elections, that's where beefs are drawn, and those beefs, become gang wars. And that's what we have here in Punjab, essentially gang wars based on what happened back in university, and those grudges have lived on. So allegedly, there's a group, the Bambiha group, was somehow involved in the murder of this guy named Vicky Medukira, who was a past politician, a student body politician, and he was boys with this Lawrence Bishnoi group. And, apparently Sidhu was part of that camp, or he had like good relations with them, and he helped them out in some undisclosed way, or maybe just hung out with them, and this was a way of sending a message. Sad, but it is what it is.
I was wondering if things are like.
So student politics.
But it's huge there. Like,
I know,
you
but still.
can't look at it from our Canadian lens. But yeah,
I know, yeah. But yeah.
But I remember hearing there's this one thing was the extortion of artists, and it's a big thing in rap music here. So like certain rappers, if they're going to go perform in a city, there's people they got to pay kind of like a protection tax. Like, this is who runs the South. All right, I got to give you money to make sure that nothing pops off at my concert. And if I don't, then something might pop off at my concert, and they're not going to guarantee the safety of the artists or the acts, right? Is that prevalent in Punjab? Like if you're doing
Yeah,
shows, like you gotta.
it's become prevalent, the extortion. I mean, that's why we're hearing about, all these Mankirtalik, Garnajal, all these guys getting into
Yeah.
scuffles or getting shot at. It's because
And
of,
Verma was
this
shot,
aspect.
wasn't he?
Who?
Parmesh
No,
Verma, was he?
Ramesh Verma shop. Exactly, yeah. I think that was a
Yeah.
little different issue, but yeah,
Oh, I
exactly.
thought sorry, I thought that was extortion as well.
I don't think that one's extortion, but extortion exists. I mean, Eminem was getting extorted, right? I mean, you guys all know the story about how he had a concert coming up in somewhere in California, and I think it was either Bloods or the Crips. I think it was the Crips who were like, "You're gonna come, you're gonna pay this money," and he didn't want to do it. So somehow his like manager connected to the Samoan gang, also in SoCal, and they came through and they told the Crips or whatever that you can't touch Eminem. He's with us now. And apparently the Samoan gang's really badass that nobody wanted to fuck with them. And they told, M that you don't have to pay a shit, but as a thank you, like just shout us out. So instead of shouting him out, M had him in a music video. But like, to your point, this exists in rap, and they sees love a good hustle and it'd be a business or even gangsterism, right? So they saw
Yeah.
rappers are paying gangs out there. Let's do the same thing.
So was that happening in the music videos? Where kind of like, okay, you got to bring these guys in, and it's like, oh, so he's down with that guy. Look at who's in the video. That must be in the like.
Yeah, I
that
mean
stuff happening?
he's shouting them out in songs, right? So
Is this prevalent across all music now? Do you think people take a step back, or do you think this just escalates now?
I think now with the lens on Punjab, and the violence there and what's going on with the gangs, there'll be actually, to be honest, a fucking powder keg. Either it'll go forward and fucking explode, or it'll fucking shrink right now. But we're at a crossroads. It'll be one or the other. It's
So
not
what-
going to stay the same.
But what do you think? What's your leaning one way or the other?
Money is being made. Pandora's box is open. It's going to keep going.
Sad reality though, right? Like that's where we
That's
kind
sad,
of
man.
even our musicians are now like are all artists facing this, or is it just like this?
But you
genre
know what?
of
If
artists?
if you're it's no, I think it's a genre. It's a genre thing. I don't think anybody's hustling Amrinder Gill for.
I don't know, man. They're doing it to
extortion.
actors, right? They do it to Bollywood actors all the time. There's lots of extortion going on there. Who knows?
There's a lot more money there too.
Yeah, but we're not privy to it, right? So I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I mean, they're
there's
not
a- there's a
advertising that.
form of-
No one's saying, "Hey, I got extorted. I had to
Yeah.
give 20% of my purse to this crew over here." But you think people are like doing that to like Gunwar Goodwill or someone?
Yeah,
I think that guy would just stop singing. He'd be like, "I'm out."
Yeah, I'm done. And that's what it is, right? It no longer becomes profitable for you. Fuck it.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, but that's like, I mean, the lack of remorse or the lack of respect to just take someone out like that of that stature is, and
Yeah,
the way
I
they
feel-
did
I
it
feel
too,
gutted
right?
now.
Daylight in
Day-
his bend.
The first
dude.
day, it did not hit me. Second day, it
Yep.
didn't really hit me. I want to say fourth, fifth. Like now we're on the third, fourth, and fifth day.
From-
It's been really getting to me now.
It's the funeral. The funeral really.
The funeral really
and I saw the
fucked me
videos of his dad
Yeah.
making the gestures. Obviously, slapping.
His dad taking off his bug and
Dude,
thanking everybody
yeah.
for coming. Like,
Yeah. It's
Moving
Yeah.
right along though, switching it up. You guys watch Kenobi then? Final thoughts on like the last episode?
great.
Yeah,
Great
episode three.
segue.
I
Great
love
segue.
it. At some point, I've cried and then I get interrupted. Like fuck it, I made that effort. Now it's just like let's get to it. Kenobi
there we
episode
go.
3.
um,
Thoughts?
so
Okay, did
a few
everybody
months
watch?
ago- yeah,
Hold
we
on,
watched
listen,
everybody.
hold on,
Talking about
spoilers.
episode 3.
Someone actually messaged me like, "Yo, please give me." I'm like, you would literally hear me ramping up to talk about it. That's your cue. So from here on out, we're gonna be talking about Kenobi. If
Yeah,
you don't want,
I was
if you haven't
with
watched
the Pod
it,
Boys,
chill.
and I
If you're one of
hadn't
those
watched-
weird, if you're one of those weird people that waits for the entire series to come up before you watch it, just turn off the podcast because
Yeah.
you're weird.
Well, I'm one of those people overall too, but
Yeah, you're weird.
I did turn off the pod until I watched episode 1 and 2, and then I
Resumed.
listened in. But yeah, so we're gonna talk about 3. A few months back, I don't know if you guys remember, but we were talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi because when you guys was talking shit about the Star Wars, series, forgot which one. Yeah, Shinda. Anyways, um, we were theorizing what's gonna go on with this, and I said they're gonna likely bring Vader at the very last episode. We're just gonna hear the, and that's about it. But I said it'd be really, really cool if they brought him in like halfway through, and we got to see what he was really like back then. Fucking right, they did a great job. He is so scary. The Vader in the movies is a Disney cartoon compared to the Vader that they have in this fucking show. He is ruthless.
He snapped the neck.
He just fucking killed a kid. Yeah. Oh, what the fuck? This guy's a fucking asshole. Before he was just a bad guy. Now he's a fucking. He's scary, man. He's gonna kill that little girl.
Well, he wants to kill his daughter. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. The only thing, like, I mean, my criticism of the show is that fucking fire shouldn't have stopped him from killing. He should have killed Obi-Wan Kenobi right away. Like, what the fuck is that fight? It was such a waste of time. I was like, get it over with. Fuck. And then the fire, oh my god, now the fire stops you, motherfucker. Just wave your hand and fucking blow it out. But,
Or
other
jump
than
over it.
yeah, fly over it. The disappointing fighting scene aside, they have done a phenomenal job with this. I 100% agree with your last comments from the last pod. And episode 3 has fucking delivered. What a good show.
I only had one gripe with that fight scene. Was the ability of the Darth Vader to move so quickly. Obi-Wan's running around and this guy just pops out of nowhere. I'm like, yo, this guy hobbles around in every scene in Star Wars. He's a robot. How is he jumping over these things and catching up to Obi-Wan? Obi-Wan's running away on a mountain. All of a sudden, he comes out of nowhere. That's the one part I didn't believe. That was my gripe.
He was just cutting him off. He knew the angles. He knew the angles. So I agree with you on Vader being scary. I agree with you on they did a great job introducing Vader, showing his repair, showing how like that his rebuild happened. All that stuff was amazing. The Vader being scary, yeah, I agree. I felt like they brought him in too early in this show because maybe I don't know. I thought they could have done a little bit more. The fight scene could have been better. Yeah, I was just expecting a little bit more build up to it. Like.
But it's such a short series. I mean, it's only 8 episodes, right?
Yeah, I guess so. But now we're episode 3 and we're already got like a fight scene between them.
I mean, the last, correct me if I'm wrong, the last emergence of Vader or scene was like, that was Rogue One, right at the end of the movie, right?
Yes. And wasn't
so that's
that,
all
that
we've
was
ever had.
That was I was talking to
That was the best part of the movie.
Yeah, it was the best. They
Rogue
did
One
it
was
was,
pretty
it was
good,
fan
man.
service. That was pure fan service. That
Yeah.
that
Like,
scene.
let's give you guys some Jedi or like big character.
Yes.
So my question from the last episode, are you guys done with the Inquisitors? Because I'm done with them. We got a real villain now. I don't need to see this whole Inquisitor battle between the
I don't
Inquisitors.
like
I don't like it.
yeah.
See,
I don't
that's
care.
part of why I think they should have let him come a little later, like build up on the Inquisitor beefs, the other Sith and like the Jedi's.
They're
wanted,
already-
like,
but they were already
Well, I
pretty
mean,
corny.
let's be honest. There's one thing I'm sure we've all read into. There's some secret about the Kali's origin that's gonna come out.
well, I think
no,
she was
I-
one of the
I
young
just-
Jedi's that got.
Yeah,
escaped
she's
the
the
temple.
younglings. in the
They all
first
were.
scene.
They all were.
Yeah, so
But
they were.
remember, she hits the symbol in the hideout, and that was the symbol of the Jedi who died in the first scene. So she is one of the younglings, but I don't know why she's upset. I told you, I don't understand the anger. Why is she angry at the Jedi if she saw all the
for
Jedi get
abandoning
killed?
them, or for abandoning them and not.
They got slaughtered.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they reveal it. Her character is just the one character that I feel like isn't gelling with the rest of the characters yet. Like there seems like the young girl Layla, great. The other
Yeah. What a
two
great.
ex-
You guys were right about that. What a great child actress.
The other Inquisitors kind of made sense. They weren't overly talkative, very focused, machine-like.
Yeah.
Her, she was, and I don't think it's her fault. I think it's just the way it's written. Is she was written as a very angry character, and it doesn't really fit with the flow of everyone else.
She's receiving a lot of
Racial
racist
flag.
comments. as
I
well.
mean, that sucks. I don't know how we can like.
that's
say
Star
anything
Wars
about that.
fans, though. Come on,
No,
that's
I don't
Star
even know.
Wars fans.
It's
Come
fans
on,
in general.
that's every. What was it?
Buddy.
What was his
when-
name? What was his name?
Yeah,
What's his
yeah.
name?
I forgot his
The
British
dude from
guy.
The Force Awakens,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Then the Chinese girl from the following movie.
Oh, she
right?
got it
Received
too.
she got crazy racist comments, man. I'm
Oh,
telling you, racist. The whole
I
series
mean,
was racist to begin with.
I remember when they suggested what's his face play Spider-Man, that black actor, the comedian, Croy from Parks and Rec, and that got all the crazy type racist thing, and then Marvel doubled down and said, "Look, we're gonna make a black Spider-Man. Fuck you guys."
Yeah.
And they did, and Miles is a great character.
But even if you watch George Lucas's, like after I watch that episode, the other ones pop up as suggested watches. So I don't know, for shits and giggles, I put on the Phantom Menace. You ever notice how the trade guys talk like Asian people?
Yeah.
Have you guys noticed that? And have you noticed? Obviously, Jar Jar Binks is Jamaican.
Yeah.
And I'm just watching. I'm like, there's no other colored people in this goddamn movie. It's completely racist.
Yeah,
The
no,
whole movie's racist.
he played up on stereotypes, especially with like the way Jar Jar Binks acted and kind of behaved. He really played up on certain Jamaican stereotypes.
The guy who owned the rights to Anakin was Italian.
Yeah, I mean,
Really?
but Darth Vader, the original Darth Vader was
Yeah,
black.
with the Watto or whatever his name was. Yeah, I
what is
remember
his
that.
name? Yeah.
So, yeah, it's disappointing, and I feel like it's just fandom in general. People get so caught up on how they want this canon to be preserved based on books and whatever else they read, that they're like, they weren't black here, you can't make them black now. It's weird.
What's going to be
Fans are just
crazy
as
when
bad about that.
Miss Marvel comes out? What, next month or in
Yeah.
2 months? And it's the first Muslim superhero from Disney. We'll see what happens with that. So it's going to be interesting how the Marvel universe reacts.
Here's
I
some
mean-
talking movies. I can't wait to watch Top Gun. I'm looking forward to it.
I heard Top Gun was really
Okay.
good. Actually, everyone I've talked to who's seen it loved it. I'm waiting
Ah,
for it
Tom?
to come out online.
Can we
I
give
was-
kudos to Tom Cruise? This man
learning how to
still is
fly.
going, and
Fucking nuts. As an aviation guy, I'm look fucking nuts what they've done.
aviation
I've
guy took it up plane to
No, this guy,
aviation
buddy, Ranji is hardcore. This guy I used to make fun of this guy as this little kid.
Is he? No, was
This is
he
what
playing
I-
simulator?
No,
Oh, yeah,
not
I
the
played simulator. Like,
Okay, but have you flown a plane?
yeah, I've flown a plane.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
I'm
then
impressed.
my wife just got me flight lessons.
At
as
Brampton?
well. Yeah,
Yeah,
Brampton.
This guy was, what's that?
Oh, I take
The-
my words back. I take my words back completely. I'm sorry.
Cadets. This guy used to be an air cadet.
Yeah.
I remember clowning him for
Wait, that's
that.
even funnier. There must be a picture rolling around somewhere.
Yeah, there was. This
I
guy
was
tried
really
to-
Were you
I was really good at it.
Were you asking?
I remember
Were you asking for donations?
Paul and Venier. This guy was
Yeah.
like doing the marches and like. This guy's a hardcore aviationer. Like if I ask him
What
like,
happened? So why didn't you become a pilot or in the military?
you see those glasses on his face?
Oh, I have to sign those forms all the time. I would have passed you.
It was because of
Dude,
that. This guy had become aware.
I always wanted to be a pilot when I was a kid because of Nirmal Singh Sekho, who was a famous pilot from my ancestral pind, and reading about it. And then I thought about it, I'm like, my dad's like, we don't have the money to go get you flying lessons. I'm like, all right, cool. There goes that dream.
It would have cost the same as your degree did.
I know. Now that I know,
In
my
hindsight.
parents don't know, right? Parents don't know that, right? So, but
And
I don't
probably
think
like, what's it making?
my vision wouldn't allow me to be a military pilot, but a normal pilot, yeah.
Yeah, a
Would've
commercial
been okay.
pilot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like military
Great.
pilots where it's at, but getting to fly those fighter jets, but nah.
Yeah, but the
it
money's
it
money's
The
there?
money's in commercial. Yeah.
Yeah.
You work
mean,
like
I've-
what, 3 days? 3 days in 2 weeks or something?
when
like that? Something
you
crazy?
when you're senior enough and you're flying, I'll just say that flying the type of planes that go from Toronto to Delhi, then you're
Delhi?
working maybe like 10 days a month and making 300 a year.
That's
Holy
great.
shit. That's beautiful.
Yeah, making my son a pilot and my daughter a pilot. Why not?
Yeah, but
That's
they're
fine.
always on the road. They're always on
Who
the road,
cares?
right?
They're rich.
By
And
then
when-
it's
that's-
going to be automated.
That's only at the senior years. Like when you're younger, you're flying a lot more for
What have
still
you done
decent
now?
money. Still decent money.
Work from home? Fly a plane.
Yeah.
Play COD, man. Soon enough, our pilots are gonna be sitting in an office just controlling the plane remotely.
We're
I'm
not
telling
going to
you-
be there. No, people are not going to trust.
Always gonna be
one
there.
pilot. There will always be a need for at least one pilot.
Yeah. That's what they said.
Would you get on it?
I mean,
I
eventually,
wouldn't,
yeah.
I wouldn't even get I wouldn't even get on a boat that didn't have
Can't
people
get
on
in a
it.
fucking car that drives itself.
Yeah, you'd
I mean,
be scared.
eventually you'll get used to it. You just get accustomed to things.
It'll
the
take one
safety
crash
ratings.
and it's over.
That's
one
it.
crash. That's it.
That's like
Computer
saying
glitch.
I mean, what it takes one shooting for them to ban guns. You can't stand in the way progress.
That's just, that you're comparing. Those are not mutually exclusive things. That's totally different.
All
That's
right,
human
boys.
error. That's not computer error.
All right,
Yeah.
bonded of the week. You guys had DelDuca as bonded of the week.
In my opinion, guy didn't even win his own seat.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Bonded of the
But
week.
leader, yeah.
The beige crayon.
Yeah.
I actually got to meet this one kid that was pretty cool. I don't know. You guys see the TikTok video, viral video of the promposals? The guy who got rejected.
And
Yes, the Desi kids in Fangrat. But she did it again and she said yes.
A different girl.
Oh,
Oh.
gotta shoot your
Player,
shot.
player.
Gotta shoot. He caught that rebound. I actually got to meet him.
Winner, chicken dinner.
I met him yesterday. He was at Brub's thing. He was one of the volunteers. Nice kid. I'm not gonna spoil any of his shit, but smart kid. I'll say that much. He's got.
Oh, did he make money?
I mean, there's a money aspect involved to it. Selling merch, I think, is pretty dope. And anytime you put money and you're making money, He killed the views. Got what, 1 million?
Well, there was no romance, eh? No
romance is dead.
It was all about the money.
Hey, it's entertaining enough, man. I was a total sucker for it because I was like, yo, this guy got faded, and then the second time, I'm like, oh, he got his rebound, and then I'm like, oh, you're calculated. I see. I think I like you more now. But hey, confidence to do that shit.
What was the high school? What was the high school?
Sandalwood
was it
Heights.
Canton? Oh,
No, Sandalwood Heights. It seemed.
Oh, wow. It's a local.
Promposals were such this weird thing going around here, and I guess they still are. For the last
thing for us.
no, at us,
Well,
it wasn't. But I cannot see how
Half the guys didn't even take girls in my prom.
Yeah.
How did,
And our first at Chinkuzi, our first song at prom was Jazzy B Nog. That was the first song.
All I'm
Our
saying
prom was more of a
is-
party.
these guys are. If you do a promposal, your friggin' marriage proposal has to be like 10 times bigger, no? Or like.
Yeah, imagine
more
your wife
costly.
sees your prom proposal, and it was way better than what she got. Oh man,
Yeah, so I'm like, man, you guys are wasting your efforts on these proms. And we don't even call them proms here; we call them formals.
Really? What we call them for? Oh yeah, we do.
Yeah, here it's the formal, and then there's a semi-formal. If you're young, it's the weirdest thing. All I know is during my formal thing, I went to Dixie Goes Out of Simran, and I was like, I ain't going to this shit. Too hardcore for this.
Oh, you would have had fun at Chinkuzi's, man. It was a good time.
All I know,
There was
I went-
veggie food too. There was lots of veggie food, I think.
It
too.
sounds
So
like
it was
it's
good.
a boring hall party.
It
oh, it
was.
was fun. Mine was fun.
All I saw from mine were all my boys getting drunk, and I was like, yeah, I didn't miss much.
Fair
So,
enough.
on that note, anything you guys
For
want?
drink.
Anything you guys? Yo, man, it's late, 11:48. We'll post this Monday. Recorded this on a Friday night, June 3rd. You guys up to anything cool this weekend?
No, not
Work.
really. Just gonna sit online and watch and count which politician posts things about 1984 Blue Star and which ones don't. Keep a
One-
secret top.
I guess
I
we
think I
should-
might.
Actually, I want to touch
I
on this
might-
right now because I
Go
don't want
ahead.
to do a podcast during this time. Do you think the Blue Star stuff's dying down, like our remembrance of it, or
How many years?
it's
38.
38?
You have a whole new generation of people means nothing to.
Or is it a whole new generation that is discovering it for the first time?
They don't have our parents' emotions were tied with ours. Our community, that age group, right? So getting, let's say, a 15-year-old to really see the importance, the whole community has to make it a huge thing. Then yes, then you can say every kid will be back into it. But I just don't see, when you talk to general people, I don't think they're as in tune as they were. That's just my observation. Not
Randy,
saying
your
it's right or
thoughts?
wrong.
I've seen it. Maybe Robbie, you're right about a year, but I've been seeing a change in India, where once it was something that you can only talk about behind closed doors.
Fair enough, yeah.
Now it's like fuck. The internet's there. They have the ability
can't hide
to
it.
see. Yeah, they can't
Yeah.
hide it. They have the ability to see behind the curtain that fuck like this guy
But do you
and this movement. It wasn't fucking boogeyman. Like our government is. It's fair to fucking criticize the government. It's
No,
totally fair.
100%. I just think
So
in
this
terms
this
of
movement, this whole like
Yeah.
Sikh militancy and stuff like that, it's seen through a different light. And to Shinda's point, there's a new generation that hears about Khalistan extremists, Googles it now, and learns what we've learned. So I think his point, it's growing, but not so much here. It's become sort of like a anniversary thing, but where it's still a live issue, I think that's where it's the real benefit is happening.
I mean, at some point in history, it will be.
Hey, Sidhu was born in
And
'93, and look at
Yeah.
him.
no, I'm just saying, like, obviously, there's been lots of atrocities in history, right? And in terms of our own, eventually they start to lose their, not importance. I don't mean that. I mean,
I mean,
how a
partition is close
person.
to my heart because my grandparents told me about it.
Yeah, same with mine, and I completely agree with you. I'm just saying, my kids,
Yeah.
are they really going to care about partition in times of prosperity for themselves when they don't feel as oppressed? You know, if you're feeling oppressed, then all those kind of historical
Like,
items weigh heavy.
I'm
You
not
know, but
gonna.
if you're in a time of prosperity and you're happy,
It's like having a Jewish friend who can make Holocaust jokes because he's part of that tribe. You know, that's
I don't know about the joke
yeah,
thing, but I'll say this much.
I can, but he can.
So I've noticed to what Ranji was saying. For the longest time it was a Western thing. Western society, Western diaspora was the ones kind of talking about it, sharing things, keeping the stories alive. And it was let's not talk about it in India. Everyone wanted to because everyone knew someone, their chacha or their cousin or someone at a certain age who was disappeared because it was that prevalent for a certain generation. But now people are like, I saw pictures from old websites and pictures that we put on the internet and videos that we helped like encode and publish getting reshared and relabeled and stuff. And I'm like, people are rediscovering this for the first time. They're seeing pictures of some of these shaheeds or some of this stuff for the first time, and it's kind of like interesting to them. To your point of like, in Punjab isn't in a good place. Everyone's trying to get out of Punjab. Clearly, there's that thing, and I think for them, they're like, yeah, this is still going on. We still feel, oppressed to a certain degree like that. So I think there is a resurgence of it. I thought when I was, which audience was sharing it and who was sharing it and where it was coming from is different. Like Jaggi Johal, Jagtar Singh Johal, he's still in prison over this stuff. And his stuff was, he was one of the guys who was curating pictures for the longest time, creating pictures. And I have like chunks of collection that would have been shared with him. And even I'm like, man, do I hold this collection? Do I just publish it and put it out there now? But it's an interesting, like, I think we're always going to have waves where a new generation comes. Like when my kids discover it and they're going to start sharing these pictures again for the first time. And that hadn't been seen in 10 years.
Let me put it this way. Go
ahead.
on.
No, I was just saying I agree with that. I just think the shift that I see, this is my personal perspective, is away from anger, more to somber, remembrance. Now you're saying the government obviously did it and how wrong it was, but not the anger, like the sheer anger that would come out that you would see in the community. And that I feel like has shifted as the times have passed. I don't know how to explain it without
coming across like a dig.
Yeah, I'm not trying to diminish the importance of what happened, but I do think I can't even say severity, man. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It's not. I think, yeah, like Ranjit said, to his point, viewed from a different lens, possibly, right? And whereas, and I think when we were growing up, it's like it was anger, like they're going to do something about it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we can
When
still
we were
do
growing
something
up,
about it. Now it's like, well, that happened to us. Let's never forget, right?
It's happened to us. In a few generations, they'll be pushing for reconciliation, and I personally believe that's the way to go. I know I'm going to get shit on by a lot of my boys, but I'm an India guy, so it is what it is. The reconciliation is in the books. It's going to happen. How it happens, when it happens exactly, I don't know. But I'm going to say this. I've noticed over the last 7-8 years, this time of year when I start posting about 1984 Blue Star, it's the kids whose parents and grandparents were in Punjab police during that time, or in the army and senior posts, or in the government. Their kids are liking and loving my post and commenting on it, and saying things personally to me in my DMs. And I think about that. It's like, wow, like what a shift the internet has created. The access to the information. This wasn't allowed. This wasn't allowed just a generation ago.
I mean, it's
And
still
now,
being blocked, right?
when the son of a general in the army from that time is, putting hearts around my post of Sanjanal Singh with a deed, with a quote about him taking on the Indian Army. Like,
It's like your family was on the other side of that conflict.
pages turned. The pages
Yeah.
turned.
I
One thing I
mean,
would say
do you also think
is,
it's? Go ahead. Sorry.
oh sorry, the censorship stuff still exists. Videos on Sun journalistic and stuff are still getting blocked on Instagram and Facebook, and
I mean,
they're
that's going to happen.
They're
You know what I
constantly
mean?
muting those hashtags in India.
But I mean, do you also think it's like when, I don't know how you guys were brought aware of it or your introduction to that point in history. Did you find out more in snippets and through conversations with people and that story or that knowledge base started to grow slowly over the years, and the more you talk to people, books you might have read, insights, rather than now the instantaneous nature of knowledge where you click and you get it all at once? It might not have as much, the gravity of it is not as severe to some people when you just really go and you kind of move on.
I learned
Whereas
it with
if you're,
I flipped the switch, Robbie. That's how I learned about it.
was it?
I,
Okay.
yeah, I came from a very Punjabi household that looked at militancy as a shitty thing that happened in Punjab and got a lot of kids killed.
Mm.
And the second I got somewhat exposed to Taxalis, I
Don't call
I
them that.
just devoured the information at lightning pace, formed my own opinion, questioned the perspective I was raised with, and it was really the perspective I was raised with is they were just shielding me from what happened because it was a
Yeah,
tragedy, right?
but I mean,
So
is that because you had also had people to talk to about it,
exactly,
a
No,
community to
but
foster that interest?
I had a community to foster the interest. I had the internet, there's the site that Juggy fucking posted. I was on it all the time, looking at these pictures and learning about these fighters and what was going on, right? Pinarali Tiger Force and all these kinds of groups. I was reading about it. I was like, oh shit, this is crazy. But yeah, for me, I was devouring it. So it'll hit someone's heartstrings. If it hits, it might not for someone else. It all depends on who you are. But I think the story is there still for anybody who has some sort of connection to the community where it'll still get you
Resonate.
going. Yeah, it'll resonate.
All right. Yeah. So on that note, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for subscribing, listening. Our numbers are doing decent, but I think we could do a lot better. So if you're listening to this and you have friends, just send them a link. Maybe they'll vibe with it too. We do talk a lot about politics. Sometimes I think we talk too much on politics, but then that's just who we are now. So, uncle talk.
Experts. We're experts.
We're experts. Yeah, no, we're just straight up
Pundits.
uncles. I've so accepted I'm an uncle because I was at this celebration yesterday and I was talking to these high school kids and I'm like, holy shit, I'm old. I was 20 years old when some of these guys were not even born, and that's when it really hits me. I'm like, I was really well into my life before you were even brought into existence. So, this is an uncle podcast. So if you have
You could have
uncle
gone to
friends,
their dad's bachelor party. So
yeah, we're getting to that point, man. It's so odd. Aging is a weird concept, but it is what it is. Yeah, by all means, help promote us. We appreciate everyone who shares and comments. And yes, that is all from us.
all right.